Daniel pushed through the heavy glass doors at 2:13 a.m., rain still running off his jacket, and stepped into a lobby that felt like it had been waiting for him for years, not minutes. The floor was glossy and too clean. The lights hummed. Blue digital screen above the counter showed a single line of text that scrolled, paused, then scrolled again. Welcome to City Service Center. Take a number. Please wait in line. There were 19 people in front of him, all standing in a long, slow curve that led to a frosted door marked service. No one sat, no one talked. Every pair of eyes pointed forward, as if the air itself had told them not to look anywhere else. Daniel was here for one reason. He needed a certified copy of his father's death certificate before sunrise. The burial was at 10, and he had promised his mother he would fix the paper problem before morning. The hospital had made a mistake. The clerk on the phone said, "We are open 24 hours. You can come at night, fewer people." That was a joke. There were always people, apparently. People like him with urgent lives who had met a stone door and a voice that kept saying, in a calm, sugarless tone, "Please wait in line." He took a ticket from a red plastic dispenser. The slip was warm, like a coin from a pocket. It read, 74. The screen above the counter blinked and settled on 073. Good, he thought, just one more. His heart slowed a little. He took his place at the end, between a man in a yellow construction vest and an old woman in a green coat holding a small zip bag of pills. A guard stood by the wall, tall, shaved head, a name tag with no name, only a black strip that ate the light. The guard looked at Daniel's ticket, reached out, and stamped his wrist with a round blue stamp that read TBD. Daniel forced a smile. "Sorry, do I need to fill a form?" Daniel whispered. The guard's mouth did not move. The guard breathed out, slow. "Please wait in line." The air was too cold. The smell of lemon cleaner and old paper was strong. A vending machine glowed near the entrance, stocked with identical bottles, all labeled Water Zero. The second hand on the wall clock shivered at the 12 and never fell. Daniel checked his phone. 2:13 a.m. He locked it, unlocked it, checked again. 2:13 a.m. The rain still crawled down the glass doors like it had nowhere to go. "Don't check the time too much," a voice said softly. Daniel turned his head. Little, careful not to break the strange rule, everyone here seemed to oberface forward, eyes forward, mouth closed. The old woman in the green coat had spoken. Her face was lined but clear, the kind of face that had seen hard things and kept walking. She kept her eyes ahead. "It gets sticky," she said. "What does?" Daniel asked, keeping his own eyes forward too. "Time," she breathed out. "You pull on it and it pulls back harder." "What are you here for?" Daniel asked. "Because..." Silence felt like drowning. "To change my address," she said. Her hands made a small, dry sound against the plastic bag. "Nothing important. Nothing important." The words felt wrong and sharp. Daniel swallowed. His chest hurt with the memory of his father's last day. The oxygen mask, the quiet apology in his father's eyes when he could not speak. The nurse had said the paperwork would be easy. It was not easy. So here he was, at a place that never slept, holding a piece of paper that said he was next, while a voice kept repeating the same gentle command to the whole world. The screen above the counter dinged, a soft chime like the bell of an old bicycle. 073 flashed, then held. The frosted door opened, and a woman in a grey suit stepped out. She was not the clerk from the photo on the website. She was too smooth, too pale, too exact. Her smile was not on her face. It was just something the room was doing. "Number 73, she said, but it was not her voice. It sounded like the air conditioning was speaking. It sounded like the voice came out of every light at once. The man at the front of the line, a thin fellow in a cheap blazer with a shiny, tired tie, stepped forward. He touched the door. He looked back, almost like he wanted to change his mind. The guard's shoes scraped the floor, a small warning. The man went in. The door shut softly. The screen flicked to 074. The chime rang. Daniel inhaled. The voice filled the room again. "Light as dust. Please wait in line." Daniel blinked up at the screen. 74 glowed steady. He took one step forward, then froze because the entire line did not move at all. The people in front of him stood like statues. No one adjusted their feet. No one cleared their throat. The guard's eyes slid along the line like a knife. Daniel felt heat rise on his neck. "My number is up," he said to no one and everyone. The old woman spoke again, barely moving her mouth. "If the line does not move, you do not move." "That's ridiculous," Daniel whispered. "That's the rule," the man in the yellow vest said, breath smelling like energy drink and rain. First night, his voice was friendly, but something underneath it trembled. "How long have you been here?" Daniel asked. The man swallowed. He looked at the clock that could not tick. "A while," a child's shoe squeaked. Daniel lowered his eyes just a fraction and saw a girl standing 3 people ahead, maybe 8 or 9 years old, wearing a red scarf too big for her neck. She clutched a number ticket with both hands, like it might fly away. There was dirt on her knees and a leaf in her hair. She was the only one who did not look like she had come from a bus or a cab. She looked like she had stepped out of a field. "Your number?" Daniel asked gently. The girl did not look at him, but she answered, "Blank." Her voice was small and brave. She held the ticket up a little. It was empty. No ink, no imprint, just smooth card. "Did you take it from the dispenser?" Daniel asked. "Someone gave it to me," the girl said. "A man with no face." The guard's shoes scraped again. Daniel shut his mouth. They waited. Time did not move, but the pressure in the room rose, a slow tide. The humming lights thickened. The vending machine hummed louder and then quieter, in a cycle that felt like breathing. A man near the front shifted his weight. The guard's eyes pinned him. He froze. A teenager with a skateboard under his arm bent his knees to sit. The chime sounded not soft now, but sharp, and the boy straightened so fast his board tapped the floor. No one looked down. The rule was clear without a sign. Face forward, eyes forward, mouth closed, and the line will hold you up. A memory came to Daniel then, uninvited and bright. He was 10, standing in a line with his father outside a clinic. His father had squeezed his small hand and said, "Stay with me." Lines are simple. They are made to move slow. If you keep your place, you will move. Daniel had believed him. He wanted to believe him now. The frosted door opened again. The same grey-suited woman stood there, not breathing, not blinking. "Number 74, said the room in that soft, layered voice. "Please step forward." The line did not move. Daniel felt his heart knock hard against his ribs. His ticket was real in his hand. The stamp was real on his wrist. His father's promise to his mother was real in his pocket. He lifted his foot to step out of the pattern of shoes on the floor. The guard turned his head. It was a small movement, but it felt like thunder. "I am 74, Daniel said. He tried to keep his voice even. "I need to go in." The old woman's fingers touched the edge of his sleeve. "Not yet," she breathed. "It is not calling you. It is calling your reason." Daniel looked up at the screen. The numbers had changed. 74 was still there, but next to it a faint word had flickered into being, almost too pale to see. Urgency. It faded, then returned. Like a weak pulse, the teenager with the skateboard laughed once under his breath, harsh and scared. "It picks. The hungriest, it eats the loudest first." "Who told you that?" Daniel asked. The boy swallowed. "No one. Everyone." Daniel's head felt light. He thought of his mother asleep in a chair, of the hollow in the bed where his father used to lie, of the way grief made people do kind things and stupid things at the same time. He had rushed here at midnight like a hero in a cheap movie, wet shoes, wet hair, promises in his mouth. He was loud inside. He could feel it like heat. The little girl with the red scarf made a soft sound. Not a cry, just a small, careful breath that hitched. Daniel bent his head the smallest amount he could and said, "Are you okay?" "My hands hurt," she whispered, from holding tight. He looked at her blank ticket and then at his own, that glowed in the cold blue light. He thought of rules. He thought of lines. He thought of what his father had taught him without words at the end, that sometimes you let go even when everything inside you screams to hold on. "Take mine," Daniel said. The words came out like he was stepping off a high rail. The old woman's hand tightened on his sleeve. The man in the yellow vest made a tiny, helpless sound. The guard's face did not change, but the room seemed to lean in. Daniel kept his eyes forward and slid his ticket back along the exact angle of the line, past the man in the vest, past a woman in scrubs, past a man with a silver suitcase whose knuckles were bloodless. The ticket reached the girl's small hand. She slipped it under her blank one and held both together. For a moment nothing happened. Then the screen brightened. 74 swelled, brighter and bigger. The faint word next to. It changed. Urgency became mercy. It steadied. The chime rang again, and for the first time it sounded warm. "Number 74, said the voice, and this time it was not many voices. It was one, and it sounded like an aunt who loves you but has never met you. "Please step forward." The line moved. It moved like a single living thing and made space for one small child. The girl with the red scarf took a step. The guard's head turned toward Daniel. The stamp on Daniel's wrist burned cold. The girl walked, her dirty knees steady, her scarf bright as a small flag. She reached the door. The grey-suited woman's smile was still only a shape the room made, but it softened. The door opened wider than it had for anyone. "Wait," the man with the silver suitcase whispered, maybe to the girl, maybe to the room, maybe to life. "What is beyond?" The girl turned her head just enough that Daniel saw her cheek. She smiled a very small smile, a brave one. "Someone who knows my name," she said, and went through. The door closed like a sigh. Silence fell. Not real silence. The humming continued. The vending machine breathed. The clock twitched and failed. But inside the silence, there was a space, as if the lobby had swallowed and did not know what to do next. The old woman let go of Daniel's sleeve. "You broke it," she said, and there was respect in her voice and fear, too. "I gave her my place," Daniel said. He could not read his own feelings. Relief and grief had braided together. Behind his ribs, his heart beat a different way. "You gave it your reason," the man in the vest said. "It will take time to find you again." Daniel looked at his wrist. The blue stamp had changed. TBD had become later. The screen blinked. 075 swam up and steadied. The chime abandoned its warmth and returned to its thin, distant tone. The gray-suited woman vanished, or maybe she had never existed and only the idea of her had stepped away. The lobby exhaled. The voice returned, smooth as polished stone. "Please wait in line." The line shifted forward by one space, and this time everyone moved. Not much, but enough to feel like a tide. Daniel stayed where he was, almost lightheaded with the simple act of not being pulled. He checked his phone without thinking. 2:13 a.m. He put it away. Minutes saw the thing that acted like minutes passed. People left through the door one by one. No one came out. When a tall man in a black coat tried to argue, the chime struck like an alarm and the guard's hand hovered an inch from his shoulder, and the man's anger collapsed into a small nod. When the teenager shifted his skateboard again, the old woman's small sound of warning saved him. The vending machine clicked once and dispensed a bottle of water zero without being touched. No one claimed it. The bottle sat there and watched. Daniel waited. The heaviness in his chest, the urgency that had been burning, sank deeper like a hot stone dropped into a cold well. He still needed the paper for his father, yes, but something inside had stepped back from the edge. His mind grew clear enough to notice barely visible signs on the wall that had been invisible before. "Do not step out of line. Do not speak your reason out loud. Do not turn around. Always keep your place." The words were so faint they might have been written under the paint. A small envelope touched his shoe. Daniel looked down in the allowed way, eyes still forward. The envelope was the exact grey of the floor, so it was almost not real. His name was written on it in a hand he did not know. He bent from the waist with care, keeping his feet in their marks, and picked it up. Inside was a single sheet with a raised seal. He did not have to unfold it to know what it was. "Don't," the old woman whispered. "If you look at it here, it resets." He put the envelope into his inside pocket. The paper was cool and a little heavy, like an old coin. Something eased in him. He thought of his mother in the chair by the window. He thought of the small girl with the red scarf and a door that opened wide for her. He thought of his father's hand warm in his hair when he was a child in a clinic line. He did not cry. He did not need to. The line carried him to a place beyond tears. The screen blinked again. Numbers climbed. The people changed. A nurse became a man in a raincoat. The teenager disappeared, and an office worker with a cracked phone case took his place. The guard never changed. The humming never stopped. The door never opened to let anyone out. At some point, the old woman's small bag of pills was gone, and so was she. At some point, the man in the yellow vest touched his hat brim like a goodbye and stepped through. At some point, Daniel stood. At the front, breath steady, heart quiet, the envelope safe against his chest. The screen showed 099, then it rolled over like a wheel and became 000. The voice paused. For the first time since he had arrived, the silence in the lobby was complete. Then, in a voice that was not the room's voice, not the woman's voice, not any machine's voice, but his father's voice, familiar and worn and kind. The speaker said, "Daniel." He did not flinch. He did not move. He had learned the rules the right way, by breaking one and saving someone. He said nothing. He faced forward. He waited. "Daniel," the voice said again, softer. "It's okay." He could have stepped. He could have given in. He could have asked what was behind the door, what waited with hands like air. What sort of place needed a guard with no name and water that watched you? Instead, he kept his place and felt the cold blue stamp on his wrist warm under his skin until it did not exist. The screen flickered. The number did not change. The door did not open. The voice gentled into the shape of the original sentence in a way that made it feel new, almost like a blessing and almost like a warning. It came from everywhere and from nowhere and from right behind his left ear. "Please wait in line." Daniel took one breath that reached the bottom of him, and he waited with his reason quiet. He waited with his promise kept. He waited until the line moved again, and, somewhere far away from that bright cold lobby, a mother slept easier, and a small girl in a too-big red scarf stepped into a morning where the only lines she had to stand in were for warm bread and school, and the lobby kept humming, and the door kept opening, and the world outside kept raining, and the sign above the counter kept scrolling its soft, polite command to anyone who thought they could beat time. "Please wait in line."